I need to tell someone what I did, and you're going to think I'm terrible. But there's something about wanting to be happier at work that nobody understands until they've traded their marriage for it. Everyone keeps saying my boss was a monster, but the truth is, I'm the one who ruined everything. And here's what really happened. Because if I don't tell this story, you'll never understand why my husband kept the house, and I now sleep in a studio where the neighbor's cat screams at 3 a.m. like it knows my sins. I'm going to tell you everything, including the moment I signed the transfer papers while my wedding photo stared at me from my phone screen. And the part that makes me look worst, I'm saving that for the end, because you need to understand how good the first shot of attention felt before you see the damage it left. I started hating my job the Tuesday they replaced the free granola with off-brand flakes that tasted like cardboard. Silly, right? But I stood in that break room thinking, if they can't even keep granola, they'll never keep their promises about promotions. My husband, Lee, said I was being dramatic. He kissed my forehead and told me to write it out, the way he could write out anything. Bad weather, a suspense show, even me when I got going. Looking back, the signs were all there, but I was too hungry for change to see the real hunger was in me, not my breakfast bowl. I asked for a meeting with HR, just a chat. I wore the green blouse Lee said brought out my eyes. I told them I'd be happier with a different boss, someone who noticed when I stayed past 6. They smiled, nodded, took notes. I felt powerful, like the words, "I'd be happier," were magic keys. What I didn't realize was that HR's job is to keep the company safe, not me. Everyone was trying to warn me about something, but I thought they meant the usual office politics, not the bigger thing waiting like a spider under my chair. That same week, Lee and I argued about replacing the kitchen light. He wanted LED, I wanted the warm glow we had. We stood on opposite sides of the room, shouting about bulbs while the old fixture flickered like it was embarrassed. I felt a crack inside, tiny but real, and I told myself it was only about light. You know that feeling when everything feels off, but admitting the truth is too scary? That's exactly where I was. HR called me in on a rainy Thursday. They said, "We found you a new team, same floor, different department." I felt a rush, like I'd won. I texted Lee, they listened. He replied with a thumbs up and a heart. I didn't know he'd already booked a surprise dinner for our anniversary, a table by the water. I bailed on him to celebrate with coworkers I barely liked, posting a photo of cheap sparkling wine. The likes rolled in, hearts like tiny yeses. Behind the scenes, he microwaved leftover pasta and watched our wedding video alone. Everyone thinks social media ruined us, but the real problem started before that. In the moment, I chose applause at a bar over the quiet man who saved me the last meatball. The new boss, Dana, was everything I said I wanted. Loud praise, public shout-outs, emoji-packed emails. The first time she called me a star, I screenshot it and set it as my phone wallpaper, covering the picture of Lee and me at the beach. While I was worried about looking important, the real problem was the distance growing between our pillows at night. Dana wanted me on late calls with the West Coast team. Lee wanted me to help pick paint for the guest room. I told myself marriage is about compromise, so I compromised by staying at the office until the cleaning guy knew my nickname. Have you ever been so thirsty for approval that you drank salt water and called it refreshment? I did, and I kept gulping. One night, Lee brought dinner to my desk. Dana joked, "Wow, he's a keeper. Does he cook too?" I laughed like it was nothing, but Lee's cheeks flushed. He kissed my hair and left the bag of still warm curry. I ate it cold 3 hours later while Dana praised someone else. The smell lingered on my fingers, a reminder of what I was letting cool. Looking back, I can see how choosing silence was wrong, but in the moment, I convinced myself I was building a future where we'd both benefit. Common rationalization, right? Just like everyone does when they chase a raise while their love goes overtime without pay. Here's what I haven't told you, and it changes everything. Remember when I said HR listened? The opening they gave me wasn't a promotion. It was a transfer that came with a clause, 6-month probation, no guarantees, and the old team could hire a replacement from my previous role in 30 days. I signed without reading because I was high on feeling wanted. I thought I was being smart, but what I didn't realize was that the company was protecting itself from me, the complainer, by moving the problem to a new box. They posted my old job the next morning. My friend Kate texted a screenshot of the listing with the message, "Is this yours?" I typed, "It's fine, onward and upward," and turned off my phone so I wouldn't see her reply. While I was worried about looking ambitious, the real problem was that I no longer had a safety net, and the house mortgage needed 2 incomes. Everyone could see what was happening except me. Dramatic irony at its finest. Lee found the listing while checking if we could refinance for a better rate. He sought me at the kitchen table, light finally fixed, bright and cold like an operating room. He said, "Babe, you sure about this?" I snapped that he never supported my career. He flinched like I'd slapped him. That night, something happened that I've never told anyone about. He cried quietly into his pillow while I stared at the ceiling, counting the ways I'd prove him wrong. I felt so proud of my stubbornness that I completely missed the crucial detail. His fear wasn't about the job. It was about losing us. Week 4 in the new role, Dana scheduled a Friday Zoom. I thought it would be praise. Instead, she said numbers were down and they were reevaluating. My stomach dropped faster than a faulty elevator. I wanted to call Lee, but I'd let our midday check-ins fade. I posted a smiling selfie with the caption, "Loving the new grind." The comments rolled in. "You go, girl. Glow up." While everyone was liking my posts about fresh starts, I was privately drafting apology emails to my old manager that I never sent. My friends all said, "You're so brave." But what they didn't know was that my brave face cost more than I could afford. I came home to find Lee packing a weekend bag. He said he needed space to think. I joked, "Think about what? Bulbs?" He didn't laugh, just closed the door with a soft click that felt louder than any slam. For a moment, I actually believed a couple days apart would make him miss me, and we'd reunite stronger. Then I opened the drawer where he kept his grandfather's watch. Pause and think about this for a second. Would you have done what I did next? I called Dana and volunteered for a Sunday presentation, thinking busy hands would quiet my mind. She said yes, thrilled. I spent 16 hours building slides I used to mock, posting coffee shots with hashtags like "Rise and Grind." Monday morning, HR called me in again. Budget cuts, they said. Last in, first out. My chair hadn't even warmed. They handed me a box for my plants and pride. I thought I was protecting my future, but actually, I was gambling it on a company that had already moved on. That night, something else I've never confessed. I drove past our house and saw Lee inside, watering the plants. I didn't go in. I sat in the car eating drive-thru fries, faulty and limp, telling myself independence tasted like freedom when it really tasted like fear. I texted Lee, "Can we talk?" He replied, "Give me tonight." I agreed, relieved, and went to Kate's sofa. She poured wine and said, "Maybe this is a blessing." I laughed too loud, spilled red on her white cushion, scrubbed until my fingers hurt. The next day, I came home ready to apologize, ready to rebuild. On the kitchen counter sat a single sheet of paper. Divorce forms, neat boxes checked, his signature already precise at the bottom. Everyone thinks they know what happened. Career woman loses balance. But the real story will change how you see me forever. Remember what I said about looking happiest in that green blouse? Here's the truth. Underneath it, I wore the necklace Lee gave me the night he proposed, a tiny house on a chain. I took it off to sign the transfer papers and laid it on the desk like a sacrifice. I haven't worn it since. The real reason I'm telling you this is that yesterday I drove by his house and saw a new plant in the window, one I didn't pick. The worst part about what happened isn't losing the job, the mortgage, or even a marriage. It's knowing I swapped the person who would fight for us for people paid to pretend they care. And I smiled while doing it. Now, 6 months later, here's where things stand. I rent the studio, shower with flip-flops, listen to that cat scream its heart out. I found work, quieter, smaller. Dana never replied to my LinkedIn request. Lee sold the house to a couple who Instagram their new paint colors in warm, perfect light. I double tap, close the app, stare at the cracked ceiling, and count the ways I learned happiness isn't something you ask HR for. It's something you protect when it's already yours.